Here's how to create a color chart using Microsoft Word and printing it on watercolor paper. Here's an example of a chart that I previously created. I created this chart in Microsoft Word. I inserted a logo at the top. I inserted a table of 5 columns, and there's 4 different rows of colors going down the page. Let me show you how I did that. In a blank sheet of paper here, by clicking on File, New Document, I am going to go to Layout and change the orientation from Portrait to Landscape. I went to Margins and changed it from Normal to Narrow. From the home screen, I'm going to change the default font to Arial, and I'm going to make it smaller and make it a 9-point for now. I'm also going to center everything on the page. Over here is a data set that I'm going to use. I'm using the Winsor Newton Cotman watercolor paint set. It's a great low-cost alternative. It's student grade, 20 paints, and great when you're starting out. The details on each of the paint I got from both the back of the paint tube as well as I had to go to the website to get some more data in order to try and get as much consistent data on each of the colors. You'll see the color name here along with a number from the manufacturer, how they numbered their paints. You'll see the pigment that's used. You'll see whether it is transparent, semi-transparent, or opaque. The light fastness of 1, 2, 3, or 4, and if it's permanent or extremely permanent, and then there's a few other data points, whether it's staining or has granulation down here. And I highlighted in red some items that would be of concern if you were trying to do higher quality, more professional painting that you want to sell or enter into a show. This is student grade, so some of these data points are expected, but we'll talk more about that in our next video on what each of these items mean. But for now, we'll keep them the way they are. We'll use this data set. I'm going to select it and I'm going to center it so it's ready to go. And I'm going to make all the font black. I'll take away the red for now. All right, over here, I'm going to, I'm going to grab the logo, and you can either, I found it on the internet, you can download it and save it and then insert it in the document, or you can copy and paste it. I'm going to copy and paste here. So copy, and I'm going to paste it right up here at the top. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. If you want, if you need to, you may need to crop it. So if you right click and go to crop, I can just take these little corners here and drag them down just to remove any extra white space. That way I'm not taking up too much room. Make sure I didn't remove anything I shouldn't. There we go. All right, I'm going to hit enter twice, and then I'm going to go up here and click on insert table. Since we have 20 paints, I'm going to do 5 columns across and 4 paints down, so a total of 20, but I'm just going to put it in one row right now. If I tab over, it'll create a new row automatically. This first row is going to be used for the color, and so I'm going to go up here. Sometimes when you work in this first cell and you hit enter, it'll move the whole table down. I don't want to do that, so I'm going to move to the second cell, and I'm just going to hit it 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That'll give me a nice square. I could have dragged it down, but I want to be consistent on each of the rows that I have color so that they're the same size. Dragging it down, I might not get that consistency. I'm going to leave this blank, and I'm going to go to the next row. Here, the first cell in the next row, and I'm going to take this data set and I'm going to start copying these data sets over into each row. over here, you can change the margins down here. I'm going to go ahead and roll this down over to the left there. Roll it down so it's 0. I don't want to print all the way to the edge, but I want to be able to fit this table on here. I might have to make some adjustment up at the top as well in order to get this to fit on the page. So I'm lifting it up towards the top too using this ruler. And I'll continue with the data set. Okay, so we're a little too close to the edge at the bottom here, and it's going on to the second page, so I got to make some adjustments up here to make sure this all fits on the page. I am going to minimize this logo here, and that helps. Is that enough of an adjustment? I think it's good. I think this should still print off the page, and I could always do a test page to make sure it works okay. Now, you could leave all these lines in here if you wanted to, but I like it to be a little cleaner. I only want the box around the color and not around the text. I'm going to click in the table. I'm going to click on this little square so it selects the whole table. And I'm going to go to Table Design and click on Borders. And for now, I'm going to say No Borders. And then I'm going to click on this first row by clicking off to the left side here. It'll highlight the whole row. I'm going to go back up here to border, and I'm going to click on all borders. And I'm going to do that on each of the rows where I have the color, so that way I have just the borders on the rows with the color. Alrighty, I think that's it. And then you can save it and print it, do a test page first. And then when you go to print the watercolor, what I found works best is if you take all the regular paper out and put a stack of watercolor in there, so that way it pulls from the first watercolor page. Because putting one piece in there, sometimes it slips and it doesn't grab correctly. So put a stack of watercolor in there. You might have to trim it down to get it to fit correctly, depending on the size that you can print on. This is set up right now to print on 8.5 by 11. So my suggestion, just to keep it easy, would be to go ahead and cut it down to 8.5 by 11 sheet, which is a standard printer page. But you could change the page size by going to Layout. Well, on this one, it would be File and Page Setup. On your machine, it might be set up differently. Use letter, page size. You could pick a different page size. You could do larger if you wanted to. You could do legal. Or you might be able to set up and manage a custom size. I'm just going to go ahead and do the 8.5 by 11 and cut my paper down to match that. And that's all it is. So good luck, and let me know if you have any questions.